If you spend much time with the Bible, you're gonna find that different passages in the Bible mean different things to you. For me, there's some that challenge me, want me to dig deeper, do more research, find out the story in behind the reading. Some will even infuriate me. I'll read some of the more brutal, harsh, violent parts of the Bible and want to put it into context, but also understand that there are going to be others that will just take these readings and weaponize them. And then there's also readings that are just like, they're like a warm sweater that you put on a cold day. That favorite piece of clothing that you just can't help but feel comfortable in. I think Psalm 23 is one of those readings. There's never a bad time for Psalm 23. It's read at weddings and funerals and births. It's put to music. It's read in church services. I had a professor that said that a tool in every minister's toolbox should be to have the 23rd Psalm memorized so that it could be read at a moment's notice. And of course, he also said that if you're going to do that, it has to be in the King James Version. So, this is the 23rd Psalm. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. It's beautiful, isn't it? Just gorgeous words, beautiful imagery. And it strikes a part of our hearts and minds almost like music. I did a service in a seniors facility this last week, and I used that reading there too. And by the end of the reading, just about half the people that were gathered there in that service were saying it along with me. It's one of those readings that it just touches our souls. If you leave a piece of fabric unattended long enough, that reading will spontaneously be cross-stitched into it. But and I've probably mentioned this before, because one of the things I find interesting about this reading is that as beautiful as it is, as comforting as it is, there's a reason why it needs to be so comforting. Because the author of this reading is having a kind of a bad time. God's presence isn't just nice, it's a relief. If you listen carefully, there's two different narratives. There is the green pastures, but he has to go through that dark valley. Yes, there is the banquet table that she sits at, but then at that banquet table is also enemies. So I think this reading is one of those times that it reminds us that a life of faith does not mean that everything's going to work out just fine. It doesn't mean that God is going to protect us from everything that can go wrong in our lives. Having something bad happen in our lives is not because we lack faith. It's just life. Sometimes we can't confuse life with God. But maybe in our times of trouble, maybe when things are rough, if we open our ears, we might hear a word of God's wisdom. If we open our hearts, we might feel God's presence. Now, there's one line in this passage that I do take issue with, and it's a translation thing. Translation is never an exact science. But there's the one line that says, "Goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life." That word follow, it could have a couple of different ways of understanding it. And I think the better word in there is actually pursue. Now that changes the meaning of this whole reading. Like if you're being followed, you're walking along and you just catch that shadow out of the corner of your eye. Now that's probably just goodness and mercy. We won't worry about it. But pursue, that's something totally different. In our house, we have 2 cats, Charlotte and Harvey. We probably should have named them Goodness and Mercy. Because I'll tell you, we are pursued all the time. I'll see Jen walking down the hallway, and there's Harvey just chasing on after. Charlotte will natter at me and nag me and follow me and claw at my leg until I sit down so that she can give me a good dose of goodness and mercy. You probably have had dogs like that just will not let you go. Now that's a really different image of this passage, isn't it? That Jesus is chasing us down, will not let us go, no matter what. And that kind of reminds me of another passage that is given for today, this time from the Gospel according to John. This is from chapter 10. "I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. The hired hand, who is not the shepherd, does not own the sheep, sees the wolf coming and leaves them to the sheep and runs away. And the wolf snatches them and scatters them. The hired hand runs away because the hired hand does not care for the sheep. I am the good shepherd. I know my own, and my own know me, just as the Father knows me, and I know the Father. And I lay down my life for the sheep. I have other sheep that do not belong to this fold. I must bring them also, and they will listen to my voice. So there will be one flock, one shepherd. For this reason the Father loves me, because I lay down my life in order to take it up again. No one takes it from me, but I lay it down on my own accord. I have power to lay it down. I have power to take it up again. I have received this command from my Father." Now I want to give you just a little bit of context for this reading, because it makes a big difference. Right before this reading, there is a fairly long story about Jesus healing a man who was born blind. He revives his sight. And then this man goes to the authorities to have his new sight certified, to be recognized as a healthy, whole person again. And he's surprised, of course, by the response he gets from the authorities. Rather than celebrating, "This is fantastic, you can see," they start asking him questions about who healed you, and why did he heal you on the Sabbath? And was it that Jesus guy? Because he's up to no good. Are you in cahoots with Jesus? And in the end, rather than being celebrated because he can see, the authorities actually banish him. Now, Jesus hears this. Jesus hears this person has been tossed out on his ear, and then goes off to find him, hunts him down, and brings him into the fold, includes him as one of his followers. This is the good shepherd that will not let the sheep go, that will pursue and chase down, make sure that no one is lost, and then bring them into the green pastures. I love this reading. This reading brings me comfort. Both of these readings do. And it's at times like this especially that I find relief, reconciliation. Now, as a minister, I have a 3-year cycle of readings that I use. And so my whole life is revolving around 3-year chunks. And I always look back, what was happening 3 years ago? What was happening 6 years ago? And do you remember what we were doing 6 years ago? We were washing our grocery packaging. We were staying at home and missing our families and friends. We were starting to doubt the people that said that this is going to be over in 4 to 6 weeks. I remember thinking that this is probably the biggest life-changing event of my lifetime, that the world was forever transformed, that I would never see something like this again. I remember thinking this during September 9/11 attacks, thinking the world has changed. And then COVID came, and oh my goodness, the change was so much bigger. But now, it seems that life-changing, world-shaking events are happening not once in a lifetime, but every week. It's exhausting, isn't it? There's so much happening so fast. There's so much hatred. There's so much disruption. There's so much division. It seems like it's hard to keep up. So then in times like this, when these readings speak to us, it's a nice way of reassurance that indeed we are being pursued. That no matter what is happening in the world around us, we're not alone. That Jesus is not going to give up on the sheep. Now, sometimes it seems that those sheep have wandered off a long, long way, and they have gotten into some weeds that they should not have been nibbling on. But still, Jesus isn't going to stop. God is not going to stop. That we will be kept in this fold whether we like it or not, whether we choose or not. We're going to be followed, we're going to be pursued, and that's how we can find relief, how we can find our way back to the green pastures. And that isn't always easy, is it? I think sometimes we don't want to be caught. I think sometimes in our own lives, I know for me, you ever get one of those times where you're in a bad mood and you don't want to lose it? Don't try and cheer me up. Don't try and get me over this. I've got a good head of steam here. Sometimes it happens also when we have our own feelings of low self-worth. Maybe we're carrying grudges and regrets that almost start to define us, that we don't want to let them go. But Jesus is saying here that Jesus knows our worth even if we don't. That we are going to be led to green pastures eventually. So why not just slow down and let that pursuer catch us, to bring us home, to let us celebrate that we are not alone. We live in God's world. Thanks be to God.